AutoWeb. Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth.
Wait. Let's do something a little bit different, y'all.
You a huge company called AutoWeb and their CEO, Mr. Jared Rowe.
If you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, the car business is a good business to be in.
So what are some of the backbone principles it takes to succeed in life and in business?
I do believe in taking care of the community. I believe in taking care of the team, be useful to them, help them, servant leadership. I know it's an overused term, but it's true. And then also, take care of your customers.
People look for how do you become successful? How do you become a CEO? How do you become rich?
It doesn't matter the job, right? If you're the best at it, and if you're useful to other people, you tend to get noticed and you tend to get promoted.
This is not a conversation you want to miss. Yeah. Hey. Sean Bradley, L.A. Dub. See, I'm the millionaire from the bottom. I used to have no money, now I got it. And all these haters mad that they are not against all odds. I hustle, now I got it. See, I'm the millionaire from the bottom. Yeah, I used to have no money, now I got it. And all these haters mad that they are not. Ladies and gentlemen, this all eyes is on your now I got it radio.
From nothing to everything.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Blind Master. And of course, I have my main man, Mr. Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. And we rocking this against all odds, man. We've been rocking against all odds. Sean, you feeling this thing? I'm excited
absolutely,
about it.
Man. Things are going crazy right now. We are getting a huge buzz. DMs, emails, text messages. Man, we've got even undercover billionaires out here that are blessing the show. So, yeah, we're doing all right.
It's lovely, man. And so I've been all over Clubhouse, man. That's just been my thing, man. As a radio host, man, that's exactly where you want to be. Any kind of, if you got a great voice and you always wanted to be on the radio or something like that, listen, you could be a guest on our show or you could get on Clubhouse, man, and you could work on your skills, man. So I'm absolutely loving that. The world has changed, man. It's such an equalizer right now. After 2020, we all know what happened then. But even in 2021, Clubhouse came out in 2020. I just got started on it toward the end of it. But, man, it's popping right now in 2021. This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to just say this, America, right now. Like, the world has definitely changed forever. Dr. Covey says from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People that, again, it takes approximately 6 weeks to make or break a habit.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that. It takes about 6 weeks to make or break a habit. And think about how long we've been in this lockdown. We've been dealing with this pandemic. Whether you got the vaccine or not, or you're about to get one, it doesn't matter because we've been dealing with this for over a year now. Okay, it's been about a year. And the crazy part about this is that if it only takes 6 weeks to make or break a habit, what about 12 months, 13 months?
Absolutely.
So now Americans, LA, are doing things differently. First, they're thinking differently about where they're going to go, who they're going to see, how they're going to communicate with people. Like, again, it's trippy to watch weddings, bar mitzvahs, all through Zoom, right or wrong. People are ordering their groceries from their Samsung smart refrigerator.
Yeah, I know you got one of those, Sean. But listen, we want to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back and talk about the entire world post-pandemic. We'll be right back. This is Against All Odds.
Did you know that Car.com is a website to connect consumers like you, me, our parents, basically everybody to local car dealers? Car.com helps us find that perfect vehicle. From new vehicles to certified pre-owned, Car.com will help you find the best vehicle match. Car.com practically started the online car shopping experience. Peace of mind and finding your perfect vehicle, it's what they do. Car.com, we do the research, you do the driving. Get started getting that peace of mind today at Car.com.
It's the Against All Odds radio show. Against All Odds radio. You should check out our website. Odds radio show. Against All Odds radio. Or find us on Facebook. Odds radio show. Against All Odds radio. Or Instagram. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter. Odds radio show. Against All Odds radio. We even got a YouTube channel. Hey, listen, let me ask you, have you ever wanted to sponsor a show like this? Be a part of some of this epic information that we're sharing with the public? Well, it's possible. Just call us at our main office, 856-546-2440, and you can sponsor Against All Odds.
From nothing to everything.
What's up, world? L.A. Williams, the blind master. Of course, we got Sean V. Bradley, the millionaire car salesman. And, just talking about how, life has changed, man. Everyone's dependent on technology. And right now, we actually have a guest who is the CEO of a phenomenal technology company. I mean, they are so valuable to the public, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm not sure how many people really know him. So we definitely wanted to bring to the stage, we wanted to bring to the airwaves the CEO, Mr. Jared Rowe. What's going on? I call him J Rowe. What's up, brother?
AutoWeb in the house.
Hey, Sean. Hey, L.A. Appreciate the time today.
Absolutely, man. We excited to have you on here because we just gonna have a ball. So we definitely want to ask you some questions about running a publicly traded company. I mean, man, Sean, go ahead. Just let's fire away.
So, America, you got to understand something is that there are certain companies, obviously, that make a dramatic impact. And this company, AutoWeb, formerly AutoWeb, I'm really passionate about because, as you all know, I've been in the automotive industry about 22 years now. And this is the company that started my whole future. They're officially accredited for starting automotive internet sales. And that's how I made my millions of dollars in the automotive industry, is by building automotive internet sale departments, BDCs. So, and this is a fact, America, my very first training that Sean V. Bradley ever had in the automotive industry, besides product knowledge certification, but for my craft that I am known for, was from AutoWeb iNet training, which is kind of trippy. So it is my pleasure to introduce my friend, Jared. So Jared, just tell us really quick before we get into your background, tell us a little bit about AutoWeb and, the official, PR explanation of who the company is and what they do for the world.
No, absolutely, and thank you. AutoWeb, formerly AutoWeb, now it's AutoWeb. We've been around since 1995. It was founded by a car dealer at the time, a retired car dealer by the name of Pete Ellis. And to your point, he at the time was really focused on how he could use the internet to help dealers and help consumers in the shopping process. Because in 1995, of course, nobody was using the internet to shop for cars. And it's grown and expanded from there. But the core kind of mission has stayed the same, which is, how do you help buyers and sellers find each other efficiently, effectively, and in a way that really delivers value on both sides, right? We know that consumers view this as a complex and difficult transaction. We know that dealers want to sell cars, but they want to sell cars efficiently, and they want to meet consumers' needs. What AutoWeb, formerly now AutoWeb, really focuses on is that, right? How do we find consumers and match them to the right dealer so that both parties can feel good about buying a new car? Because ultimately dealers need to make money, and ultimately consumers want to buy new cars, and it should be fun and exciting, and should be something that's enjoyable and pleasurable. And we've been on that journey for 20 plus years as a public company.
Let me find out you're just a matchmaker. That's basically what it boils down to.
Matchmaker, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we view
not
ourselves.
eHarmony, but
if you look at other vertical categories, a lot of them have made the same transition, whether it be real estate, whether it be insurance, whether it be home improvement. You see a lot of this shift from simply two-sided marketplace where buyers and sellers simply find each other to a matchmaker where it's a more refined kind of connection that's made so that the right buyers find the right sellers.
That's true. That's absolutely
powerful.
true.
So Jared, before we go any further into AutoWeb and the amazing things that you guys do for the public and for dealers, tell us a little about you, because I'm really curious. I'm the president of a national company. That sounds good, but I have like 25 employees and I have a 6,000 square foot office. You're the CEO of a publicly traded company that affects millions of people. There's different levels to this stuff. So like I have so many questions about how to become a CEO, but let's just before we get into that, tell us about you. Tell us a little about your background, your come up, and how you wound up being the CEO of AutoWeb.
Okay, sure. And I appreciate that. So, I grew up in rural Wisconsin. I grew up in a really small village, actually, in rural Wisconsin.
Cheese town.
How I ended up in the car business is I think the way a lot of folks end up in the car business is I had a relative in the car business. So, I I wasn't the best student in high school, didn't know what I wanted to do, went to junior college for a couple of years. My grandmother's brother owned a Ford Mercury dealership in rural Wisconsin. He kind of put his arm around me and said, hey, if you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, the car business is a good business to be in. And he pointed me towards Northwood University. Northwood University, for those of you who don't know, it's the only place in the country where you can go and really get a 4-year degree in how to be a car dealer. Automotive marketing is what my undergraduate degree is in. It's less of a kind of liberal arts degree. It's more of a business degree. You come out I always frame it as it's a technical degree, because when you go to Northwood University, you come out with real skills. You learn how to do things. They promote you working while you're going to school, those sorts of things. Learn how to actually be in business. And that's really what set me on this path. I've had the opportunity to work for Toyota. I was a founding member of Ford Direct, which for most of your folks, they won't know, but it's really a joint venture between Ford Motor Company and their dealers. I've had the chance to work with some really big brands, Kelley Blue Book, Auto Trader, the Yellow Pages. I actually led the Yellow Pages for a while.
Wow.
And now I'm back here at AutoWeb, which is where I was actually post Toyota. So it was my second job out of college. So you asked the question about how do you progress in your career, and I'll tell you what I actually tell my kids, which is at the end of the day, you can be anything you want if you put your mind to it and work hard. And as long as you stay true to a few key things, right? I do believe in taking care of the community. I believe in taking care of team, your team, right? Be useful to them, help them. Servant leadership. I know it's an overused term, but it's true. It works. And then also, take care of your customers. If you take care of your customers and the people who, entrust you with their time, their money, good things tend to happen. So, I've had a chance to work with some good, smart people. I've helped them be successful. They've helped me be successful, and my career has progressed.
So Jared, it sounds like, you came up out of school, like you said, and do people just throw you into leadership positions, or is there some sort of struggle involved in it? Break that down to us. How does that work?
No, absolutely not. No, you got to work your way up. And the way you do that is, like I said, put your mind to it and work hard. And really this whole concept of being useful is something that I've always had.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
And so, it doesn't matter the job, right? If you're the best at it, and if you're useful to other people, you tend to get noticed and you tend to get promoted.
Yes, that's exactly
so
what
strong.
I teach all the time, because honestly, that's how I came up in my life. Because even working with Sean initially, I'm doing stuff. People always go, "Well, that's not in my job description." That's one of the dumbest things I think that people can say, because if I can be of use to you and you're the leader and I can help you in some way, shape, or form, then I know that reflects well on me. So man, I'm glad you said that, Jared, because that's a big part of how my come up story. Usefulness.
No, I agree, Jared. That's very powerful. So talk to us about when did you make that decision that you wanted executive management or executive leadership role? When did you want to say, look, I want to be the captain of a ship or this ship particular?
Yeah, I think that happened when I was with Ford Direct. I was the first external hire there. We basically built that business with the help of Ford Motor Company and their dealers. And it was a small group of us. And we built that over a number of years. And I kind of grew up there, quite frankly. I was there for almost 10 years, taking on more and more responsibility as the business grew. I had an opportunity to do different things and see what leadership looked like and what leadership meant. And it was at that moment and kind of later in that business's development that I decided, hey, I think I might want to try something where I got to lead a full team, right? Not lead a function, not lead a department, but see what I could do with leading a full team. And again, a lot of that had to do with me being able to see what leadership meant, work with people who were successful and good at it, some who weren't, and you learn from them too. But that gave me the confidence to say, well, I think I might be able to do this as well.
This is interesting, and this is a great opportunity. Thank you so much for being on the show, because I want to take this in a different direction, and LA doesn't even know where I'm going with this. I want to talk about burden of command for a second here. And obviously this is not military, but so many people want to be successful. They want to be the G, they want to be the boss, they want to be the CEO. But what they don't realize is there's a burden of command. You have a tremendous amount of responsibility, whether it's to you on a publicly traded company, to your shareholders, but to your employees. These are human beings. These people have families, and your decisions could directly affect these human beings and their families. So let's talk about that for a moment. What's that like, having burden of command of a publicly traded company and all those responsibilities? Is there pressure for you, and how do you deal with that pressure or that fear?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's responsibility. I wouldn't call it pressure or fear. I'd call it's just a responsibility. And I think you need to take that seriously, because to your point, these aren't just jobs, right? These are how people feed their family. They're how they pay their bills. This is how they kind of, basically keep their lives moving in the direction they want them. And I think leaders of organizations should take that responsibility exceptionally seriously. One of the interesting things about COVID is, with the downturn, a lot of businesses had to make some very difficult decisions around that, right? And how do you take care of your team? And one of the things I would tell you that I'm very proud of is I'm very proud of the way that we came through this, because we didn't negatively impact the team more than we had to. And we did this together as a team. And quite frankly, I don't think we would be where we are today as AutoWeb had we not, as a leadership team, taken that approach of, okay, yes, we have to make certain the business is successful, but inside the businesses are people, right? The business is a collection of people. It's not like we've got, a bunch of physical assets. Our intellectual property is basically the brands that we have, and then the effort and energy of our people that they put towards this enterprise every single day. So, how do we make certain that we nurture that we take care of it, that we're respectful of that through this really trying time. So I agree with you, Sean. I think leaders should take this stuff very, very seriously.
You bring up this whole navigating through COVID. For me, being inside the automotive industry, it's amazing that how you guys handle the situation for not only just internally, but for how you were there to help dealers, which we'll get into in a second. But I am curious, how did you react to what happened once this COVID thing hit? Did you guys have an emergency meeting? Is it a board meeting? And what was the thought process, if you could share, of how you as the leader decided to handle this unprecedented situation with a global pandemic?
Yeah. So no, of course, once we saw the impact in the industry, we had to reset the plan. Every year we go in with a plan, and we knew that come February, March, April, that the plan had to go out the window, which means we needed to reset the plan. Something I always say is the plan of record is the plan of record until you have a new plan of record. Right? So come April, we had to come up with a new plan of record. And I want to be clear, this isn't just me. This is my leadership team, and we all operate together as a team. We support each other, and we're all very aligned in terms of how we approach solving these problems. So, we sat down and we talked through what the potential scenarios would be, what the potential impacts to the business would be. And then we came up with a series of actions that we decided to take based on where we thought the market was going to go. And then we managed it day by day, week by week, hour by hour, quite frankly, until we achieve some level of stability, right? Remember, in April and May, there was so much uncertainty around the economy in general, and cars and people's employment and all these things, that it really was kind of touch and go for a while, but we were prepared because we talked through all the different scenarios. Now, of course, public company, we chat with our board and we align with them as well. But it really is the management team here just grinding away day to day, amongst kind of looking at a series of potential outcomes and doing what we think is best for community, for team members, and for customers.
Strong. So let me go back for a second here. How many people utilize AutoWeb, in a year? Are we talking about millions of people buy cars? Can you give us approximate information on how many people you help buy cars?
Yeah, millions. If you look at our uniques a month in terms of the consumers who come to our website, it's several million a month. Yep. Okay,
so several million a month. So wow. All right. So we're talking about tens of millions on an annual basis, correct? Yeah. And then if you've been doing this for 26 years, doing the math, that's literally over 100 million cars. Is my math correct? Yo, all right, America, let's just listen to this right now. We're talking to the CEO of a company that helped 100 million plus car sales. Okay, so now you're probably the best person in the world to ask this question. After helping 100 million car sales happen, have you guys noticed trends, patterns from what prospects, what Americans are looking for?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to be very clear too, there are companies out there that talk about the cars that they sell. We don't view ourselves that way, right? We connect buyers and sellers. We put the two parties together. Those are the people who actually buy and sell cars, not us. We just help facilitate it. And yeah, there's been a lot of trends. You hear a lot about it right now. Digital retailing is all the rage. Now, it's been inside this industry for 5 or 6 years. It just picked up steam over the last several months because of the whole kind of impact that COVID's having and touchless kind of transactions, right? And how that's not just automotive, but in all sorts of industries. And so, yeah, I mean, there's definite trends. I mean, when you think about digital retailing, at least from our perspective, we think about them falling into one of 3 categories, right? One is a consumer who wants to research online and get as far as they can without maybe going into the paperwork and the financing and the trade side, which is critical. And we see a lot of consumers still wanting to do that, right? And they'll spend over 8 hours researching the vehicle, finding the right vehicle, finding the right seller, just really, getting themselves ready to get in the transaction. And that's one category. And that's still a fairly significant part of the market. You've got another group of people who want to go a little farther, right? What they want to do is maybe they want to understand what their trade is worth and maybe even get a guaranteed trade offer, because that's an important part of the transaction for most buyers. Maybe they want to understand what their credit worthiness is and what that looks like, because as we all know, most consumers don't buy cars based on the transaction price. It's monthly payment, right? Listen, we all have monthly budgets and we want to see how much of our monthly budget is tied up in this vehicle. And then you've got another group. So that's group 2, right? They'll go a little further. They'll do some of the paperwork online. They still want to have that interaction with a dealer in both those 2 categories, because that's important, because this is a complex transaction. And quite frankly, this is an emotional buy too, right? We're not buying a loaf of bread here. We're buying something exciting.
Right.
The third one is somebody who wants to go all the way to delivery, right? That's somebody who maybe wants to have the car delivered to them. Don't ever want to go into the dealership. Again, what I will tell you though is there's still an interaction there, and there's still a human element to this transaction that is super important. So as we think about these 3 transactions, those are the 3 categories that we think about, and you see consumers moving in and out of these 3 buckets.
Right. And so I think it's kind of cool because, our listeners, you probably just heard your own personal thought process. You said, wow, I'm that person. I'm the person who, I want to get started online, but I don't want to do everything. And then some people are like, man, I want to do everything online. It don't matter nothing, And so listen, we're going to hear more from Mr. Jared Rowe when we come right back on our show. Against All Odds. We'll be right back after these messages.
Do you have scars, stretch marks, cuts, burns? Did you just have surgery or you're about to have surgery? Well, Scar Food is a series of products and creams designed specifically to nourish and repair scars. Scar Food has helped tens of thousands of patients worldwide repair and heal their scars. Follow Scar Food LLC on Instagram or go to scarfood.com and send us a product advice form along with photos, and let our scar experts tell you exactly what you need to feed and heal those scars.
It's the Against All Odds radio show. Against All Odds radio. You should check out our website. Odds radio show. Against All Odds radio. Or find us on Facebook. Odds radio show. Against All Odds radio. Or Instagram. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter. Odds radio show. Against All Odds radio. We even got a YouTube channel.
Hey world, this is Sean V. Bradley, and if you need to buy a new or pre-owned car and want to have the best, most convenient experience ever, get full transparency, the absolute lowest price, no stress, best customer service, well, I highly recommend Car.com. From nothing to everything.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Against All Odds radio show, and we are listening to the CEO of a publicly traded company. We're talking about AutoWeb, and he was just breaking down. Jared, you were just telling us about the three different types of, customers that are moving into when it comes to buying cars and things like that. So, you got anything more that you want to share about that, or even kind of now that we know that, what do we need to know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, now that we've talked about those three categories, what we do at AutoWeb is really try to help consumers find the right dealer. And I think that's a really important point.
Yes.
All dealers are good at very specific things, right? They've tailored their approach to selling vehicles in very specific ways. So the challenge for us and what we aspire to do is help consumers understand how dealers specialize, what they're really good at, how they want to sell cars, and match that to consumers who value that sort of transaction, that sort of interaction, right?
Nice.
All consumers have different ideas around how they want to buy. We talked about those three categories. Dealers have different ways that they want to interact with consumers. And so our challenge here at AutoWeb is to try to match the right buyer with the right seller, because what we know is that when buyers and sellers share expectations around how a transaction is supposed to occur, good things happen. Consumers are happy. Dealers make a little bit of money. We need dealers to make a little bit of money, and we need consumers to be happy.
Absolutely.
Jared, absolutely. And I want to just, again, redirect for a second here about something that Sean V. Bradley, CSP, is extremely passionate about. I am proud to be a car salesman. Let me just say that again. I am proud to be a car salesman. And I want America to know, listen, people, you got to stop thinking that car people are shady and they're grimy. Like maybe there was things back in the day, but I promise you, there's way more people now, whether they're Catholic priests or they're police, that have controversy or have things going on. I can't remember the last time there was an expose by Geraldo Rivera about a car dealership doing something shady. Mm-hmm. Automotive professionals have evolved with the internet, with online reputation. Jared, do you agree that the old stigma, the old cliche of a car salesman has definitely changed?
Yes, absolutely. No, I think car dealers are incredibly important, especially when you look at the local community. One of the things that most people don't fully appreciate or realize is that, the single largest taxpayer in any given county, generally speaking, is a car dealer. They fuel the local economy, not to mention the fact that they tend to be very generous in terms of supporting local charities. So car dealers are very important. They employ a lot of folks. And I agree with you. The stigma of how cars were sold, listen, that was earned way back when. But things have changed, and things have changed for the better over the last couple of decades. So I agree.
Listen, what you just said is gospel. They are pillars of the community. And just like anything else, there's good priests, there's bad priests, there's good automotive professionals, and there's some, you'll find bad apples that sell cars, but it's not okay to lump every automotive professional into that category. Now, when America found this out is in 2008, 2009, when we had that big economic debacle. There's a recession and all these dealers were closing. It hit the local communities, the little leagues, the toy drives, all that stuff. And then America was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how strategic and how important to the local community and the local economy that car dealers are. So now, based on this premise right here, you are a publicly traded company. And being a publicly traded company, you have to serve the public and you have to serve your board. So I would assume, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're not going to find pirates and hooligans to match up with the public. You can't. Can you talk about that? You have certain expectations for your dealer partners?
We do. No, we do. We absolutely do. We've got certain, as a publicly traded company, of course, we've got certain standards that we have to abide by, rightfully so, because we're here to basically service the shareholders. And the best way to service the shareholders, as I've said a few times, is take care of your community, take care of your team, and take care of your customers. But absolutely, we try and focus on doing business with folks who do business in a way that we think aligns with the way cars should be sold. And we've got a network of dealers that's very large. We have the second largest distribution channel in the industry based on our internal measures. And we think that speaks to the fact that there's a lot of dealers out there doing things the absolute right way and really helping consumers through this very complex and and sometimes nerve-wracking process, but again, a very fun one at the other side of it, because it is a bit of an emotional buy.
Right. So Jared, you trying to tell me that if I was a car dealer, I'm like, hey, I just need some car. I need some people. Give me some people. You're not. You're going to say, wait a minute, Mister. Wait a minute, Mister. What was the Badger? You know what I'm saying?
The Badger, yeah. Remember the Badger commercials? Oh my gosh, those are hysterical. LA for sure. So yeah, no, Jared, what he's saying is that, like, again, the whole point of this is like not Match.com literally, but from my understanding, what AutoWeb does is you are a technology company. You are a matchmaker, if you will. You find people, the public, regular Americans that want to buy a new or pre-owned vehicle. And what your job is at AutoWeb is to find them the absolute best certified AutoWeb dealer that has the vehicle to be able to intercept that request, help them through the shopping, the researching aspect, almost like a concierge. And then once they've landed on the vehicle of their dreams, to be able to provide the public with the easiest way to get not only what they're looking for, but to get the absolute best deal as well. Is that what I'm understanding, sir?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we aspire to do. It is,
okay.
And nothing is perfect, right? But that's what we aspire to do, and you'll see us continue to evolve towards that goal. What we don't do is we don't tell consumers how they should buy cars.
Ooh, I like that.
We don't tell dealers how they should sell cars.
Okay.
What we try to do is understand how buyers buy cars, understand how dealers sell cars, and then try to match them up the best we can. Again, what you'll see this evolve even more so over the next several years. But again, we pride ourselves on really, quite frankly, appreciating the fact that dealers are professional and they know what they're doing, and also appreciate the fact that consumers are educated, and they're smart too. So it's less about us telling them what to do or how to do it. It's more about us trying to understand what they want, and then to the best of our ability, connect those two parties.
Yeah.
Okay. Powerful. Let me lead the conversation in this direction now. I believe that most Americans that have anxiety or stress about the car shopping experience, here are the following things off the top of my head. One is they're worried if they're going to get a good deal, because they've been ingrained all the time that, you know what, car dealers are going to take your money. They're going to crack you. They're going to get as much as they can. Okay. So they fear about getting a good deal or fair deal. I feel that they are also worried about, not getting what they want, kind of being shoved into a different vehicle, because there's horror stories of not getting what they want. Can you share with us from your research, what are some of the concerns that the average consumer, the average car shopper fears in the process?
Yeah, it really is those two things. Plus, I would say a third these days, right? One is, am I getting a good deal? Two, am I getting a good car? And then three is, hey, am I going to be able to buy this thing the way that I think I should be able to buy it, right? And that is an important part. One of the things that e-commerce over the last couple of decades has really taught us, and COVID has really burned in, is that consumers have a choice in terms of how they interact with retailers, right? They should be able to kind of manage that process. And so what we have found, though, is most consumers don't want the best deal. They want a fair deal, all right?
Right.
And also most consumers, they want a car that meets their needs, whatever that means. So when we talk about good car, we're really talking about that. Is it going to break down? Is it not going to break down if it's a used car? If it's not, does it really meet my needs and align with who I view myself as, right? Because cars are also an extension of our personality. And then that third one, which is the newer one, but is an important one, and consumers are going to demand it even more and more in the future, is, okay, now, will you interact with me the way that I want you to, Mr. or Mrs. Dealer? Meaning that will you, I fit into one of these three categories that we talked about earlier. Do you recognize the category I fit into? And are you willing to meet me where I want to be met? And again, what we find is when both parties are on the same page or have shared expectations, that is where consumers feel good about the transaction and are happy, all right? And that's also where dealers are able to make money. And again, that's an important part of this, right? Is both parties need to feel good about the transaction and need to benefit from it.
Yes.
So that's how we think about things in terms of the consumers.
Yep. The way I look at it is, if a car dealer's not asking you what's important to you, then you probably don't want to do business with the person. I'm just going to be out there outright and say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care what's important to you. I don't want to do business with you. That's how it goes. That's how I feel.
Now, I want to also bring something up that you said, because I respect what you just said, brother. You said, again, they're not looking for the lowest deal. They're looking for a fair deal. And America, look, I get it. Money is important. Being price conscious is important. But for the love of God, I'm gonna say this, representing my people, automotive professionals. It's almost not fair to turn around and grind a car dealer. I mean, what, you can't go and grind the person at Wawa or a grocery store for bread or for most things. But Americans don't understand. They think that because a dealer has a vehicle that's $20,000 or $30,000, there's so much profit. Let me just tell you, these are facts. On a new car, you're looking at a non-Highland. I'm talking about not like a Ferrari, but let's just talk about like a Ford or Chevy. Sometimes it's less than a $2,000 gross profit from what the dealer actually owns the vehicle for to what the sticker price is of the car. And so there, you got to realize, to be able to pay for employees, benefits, for the lights, for the inventory, that costs money. So if dealers are constantly losing money to be able to sell a car, this is not a public service a product. This is a real product. There's profit's not a dirty word, but what I would say as a consumer is, you don't want to be price gouged. You don't want to be taken advantage of. You don't want to be a sucker. But again, for me, I don't want the lowest price, because you know what happens when you get the lowest price? You get the lowest service usually, because you can't have both. You can't have quality. You can't have quality human beings that are working somewhere and pay them like indentured servant wages. You can't. Yep. Would you agree with that, Jared?
Totally agree with it.
I always say that
expect a level of service from dealers that give them confidence in this very important investment that they make, that somebody's going to be there when they come back and is going to want to take care of them when they come back. And to your point, that requires them to be profitable.
Yeah, let me just tell you this right now. I just had heart surgery like less than 6 months ago. I am so happy that my surgeon makes $500,000 a year. You know what I mean? Like, because he deserves every dollar of that. I am not looking for the cheapest surgeon out there. I'm not looking for the free clinic pro bono surgeon for my heart. And I know that's different, but I want to give you a dramatic analogy, America, so you could cling on to, because you know what, damn, if I was going to get heart surgery, I don't want to have the cheap guy. I don't want the free guy. I want the guy that's or the girl that's really, really, really good. Right. Same thing here. Is I'm not saying that you should take a loss or what have you, but it's every relationship, Covey says, should be on a win-win. That's it right there, a win-win. Once one of the balance of the scales are tipped, that's when we lead to chaos, disappointment, attrition, things like that. So the human, back to you, Jared, you feel that your dealers that you work with, they have that same ethics, that same vision of customer success and customer win-win, right?
Yeah, no, we strive to align consumers' wants with dealers' needs. Absolutely.
And I'm going to say this right now. As I mentioned in the beginning of the program, I am really excited about AutoWeb, because that's where Sean Bradley got his first iNet training. So part of what AutoWeb does, and I'm saying this from my perspective as a national trainers, they try to educate the dealers. They try to give dealers all this field intelligence from all their data on what customers want, need, and deserve. They provide training on a myriad of different aspects of the engagement, like from when the internet purchase request comes through, how to follow up with the potential client, how to be able to qualify them, how to help them find their wants, wishes, expectations, how to be able to find the exact vehicle that they're looking for, present that win-win value. So again, that's why I have Jared on the show, because he's not one of these vendors that are just slinging leads. Okay, what he's doing, he's trying to match potential buyers with the absolute highest quality dealerships to be able to create that win-win experience. Is that rightly articulated, Jared?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely what we strive to do. Absolutely.
Well, you're doing a hell of a job. I mean, 26 years and over 100 million car sales. Right. Man, that's impressive.
Or as he would say, car matches. You know what I'm saying?
Car matches, yes. Car matches. I apologize. Okay. So LA, when you were purchasing a vehicle, right? I think at Patriot, didn't you use AutoWeb? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was awesome because we wanted to be able to
Wait
do
a minute.
it.
So America doesn't call BS. LA obviously didn't drive his wife, but they started the process on AutoWeb. So
Right.
go ahead, LA.
Exactly. It was so easy for us because we were able to get the majority of what needed to get done online. What the thing that we didn't want to have to deal with was, sitting in the finance office and all of that, because when we bought our first car, that was the majority of the time and the majority of the pressure, or I want to call it just the anxiety, was sitting in the finance office. And so we wanted to get that part knocked out before we even, went to the dealer. So we did that part. That was great. The dealer gave us a great value for our trade. And it was like, hey, listen, we just went ahead and moved forward. So that's what AutoWeb is able to bring to the table. It's beautiful stuff. I love it.
So Jared, if you can you walk us through, let's just say somebody out there is listening to this and like, you know what, actually I need a new car or I need a pre-owned car. Okay. So what do? Do they go to AutoWeb.com? Where do they go? And then, and not only tell us where they go, but can you just give us set expectations? What are they going to expect when they go to this website? So
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, we actually run a portfolio of brands. So it wouldn't be AutoWeb.com. It would be, you go to search as a consumer, which most consumers do, and you go to, say, Google, and you type in, Ford Mustang Tampa lease. You're going to see an ad. One of those ads is likely going to be from us. If you click on that, you go to one of our many sites. Whether it be, our used car sites with usedcar.com or Matovi, or whether it be one of our new car sites like car.com. And you go through a process where we ask some questions about the kind of vehicle you're looking for. We give you a selection of dealers in your local area. And then we connect you with that dealer that we believe best matches your needs. Again, we strive to make these connections as smart as possible. And we'll evolve that over time, but it really is that simple, which is, we intercept consumers as they're going through this shopping process. And we present them with retailers in their local market, and hopefully we make a good match for both parties.
One of your websites is car.com. Is that correct? Okay, so car.com, from my experience, is the preeminent new car buying portal. So Americans, if you're looking for a new vehicle, if you go to car.com, you'll be able to start that whole process. And Jared, if I'm understanding correctly, if somebody goes to car.com, they could fill out the information, and then it would get paired to the absolute best dealership that's in that potential customer's area. That dealership would then follow up with you directly and be able to help further understand your wants, wishes, expectations, and find you the new car of your dreams. Is that correct, sir?
We're going to find out when we come back on Against All Odds after these messages.
Did you know that car.com is a website to connect consumers like you, me, our parents, basically everybody, to local car dealers? Car.com helps us find that perfect vehicle. From new vehicles to certified pre-owned, Car.com will help you find the best vehicle match. Car.com practically started the online car shopping experience. Peace of mind and finding your perfect vehicle, it's what they do. Car.com, we do the research, you do the driving. Get started getting that peace of mind today at Car.com.
Do you have scars, stretch marks, cuts, burns? Did you just have surgery or you're about to have surgery? Well, Scar Food is a series of products and creams designed specifically to nourish and repair scars. Scar Food has helped tens of thousands of patients worldwide repair and heal their scars. Follow Scar Food LLC on Instagram or go to scarfood.com and send us a product advice form along with photos, and let our scar experts tell you exactly what you need to feed and heal those scars.
Hey, listen, let me ask you, have you ever wanted to sponsor a show like this? Be a part of some of this epic information that we're sharing with the public? Well, it's possible. Just call us at our main office, 856-546-2440, and you can sponsor Against All Odds.
From nothing to everything.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is L.A. Williams, the Blind Master, and at this point in time, I think we all agree that AutoWeb's a pretty darn cool company, right? But let's find out more about the leader, right? I want to know, how is the company of AutoWeb run? What is it like, running that, and how does, like I said, one person get there? And what are the daily operations? Like, what do you have to do every day to be a great CEO? And we're just gonna call you that, a great CEO, because you're running a great company, my brother.
So
I
Jared,
appreciate you. So answer that
Thank
for
you,
us.
but I think you're being a bit generous because no company is great without having a great team. And really, when you think about at an executive leadership perspective, kind of what you need to focus on, it really is focusing on people, right? How do you manage your team? How do you make certain you have people in a position to be successful? It is about kind of incentives or focus, right? Goal setting, that sort of thing. And then it's allocation of resources, time, and energy. So as myself and my leadership team, we try and spend as much time there as humanly possible, because we know we've got a lot of folks who work with us who are really, really capable and are able to take the day-to-day operations on themselves. And as long as they're focused on the things that we all collectively agree to be focused on, which again is, let's take care of our customers, let's take care of the community, and let's take care of each other as team members, then we know we'll be successful. So a lot of our day-to-day is really focused on that, is making certain that we keep the team aligned and heading in the same direction around kind of our core organizational principles.
Powerful. Good stuff.
powerful. Covey says in the third habit, put first things first. Be careful of distractions disguised as opportunities. I personally feel that whether you're a publicly traded company, you're a multi-billion dollar company, or you're an entrepreneur, this is one of the most difficult things, is to stay on task. Do you agree?
I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's
So-
easy to get distracted.
So then how do you focus and keep that focus and not be distracted, not only as things that are disguised as opportunities, but actual distractions? How do you stay focused and keep your team moving with forward motion?
This is going to sound silly, but it's very simple, and we use it, which is just a single prioritized list. So there's a list of things that we want to accomplish in any given year, and we prioritize those things. And it's a tool that we use. It's just goal setting, but it's a tool that we use that as new opportunities are presented to us, we compare and contrast them with the ones that are in front of us and say, okay, is it more important? Is it more valuable? If the answer is yes, then you explicitly make the decision to change your focus, and you take that action of changing the list. And again, I know that sounds simple and silly, but what it does is it adds rigor and makes it real. Because what happens an awful lot in all of our lives is that, you get into this mentality where you say, I'll do that too, right? I'll do that too. And all you're doing is thin slicing your time to the point where it's going to make you less effective at everything. When the reality of it is that if you focused on, I need to do these 3 things today, well, you should do those 3 things to the best of your ability, as long as you've chosen wisely. Taking that 3 and turning it into 5 just means, you may accomplish more, but you also may accomplish less, because while you accomplish more tasks, you did each one less well, which means you maybe didn't make the same progress that you otherwise wanted to make.
Diluted the
Wow, that
effectiveness.
is fire. And Jared, again, I don't think that's silly at all. I think that's awesome. First of all, we're on the radio. So if you had some complex formula, it might not well be received by our audience at first. Second of all, people look for how do you become successful? How do you become a CEO? How do you become rich? And they think that there's this secret, like, Illuminati strategy. There's a secret, formula, and it's not that complex. I think it's kindergarten rules. If you've got a product or service, have a great product or service, first of all. Second of all is love your potential clients and love your clients. If you treat them with respect, if you treat them how you'd like to be treated, if you promise something, deliver. I'd say over deliver. So to me, these are kindergarten simple rules. I don't think being successful or being rich is that difficult. So when you give a simple suggestion like you just did, I don't think it's silly at all. I think it's realistic. Jared?
Totally agree. No, I totally agree. The best answers are normally the simplest answers, but what's interesting is simplicity is complex. You know,
Yes.
taking complicated scenarios and breaking them down into something simple that's easy to grasp and then easy to manage through is really hard work. So I agree with you.
LA?
That's beautiful. And you know, people talk about it all the time. It's like the whole common sense is not always common. It's so difficult to just keep it simple. Goodness gracious, because we all want to complicate things. We all think that, you know, it must be something more. It's got but wait, it can't work like that because and then we start getting into the excuses, and y'all know that's I squash them. I don't play none of that stuff. So absolutely.
So Jared, tell me who inspires you professionally. Like for me, I'll go first. I am a huge fan of Dr. Stephen Covey. Meeting him and getting to learn from him directly was one of my coolest, things that happened in my life. Has there been somebody influential to you, whether you got to meet him directly or you read their book, or like who inspires you or inspired you?
Yeah, you know, I've been lucky to work with a lot of folks who have inspired me. And without going into a list of names, I'll tell you, I've had a chance to work with some people who are intensely talented, and made me better, simply by seeing them, watching them, seeing how they handled situations. And I've been very blessed in that regard. You know, even today, I work with some folks who inspire me daily and teach me daily. And I think that's an important kind of thing to think about as anybody is just, you know, surround yourself with people who do make you better. Surround yourself with people who, you know, teach you things and you can learn from, and also who, you know, can inspire you daily or remind you of what you should do and how you should work. So, you know, I've been blessed to work with a lot of folks like that and be able to surround myself with a lot of folks like that. And it carries on to this very day.
I'm going to ask a redundant question, but there's a reason. So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is because you've been blessed with these amazing people throughout your career and even currently right now, would you say that's one of the reasons why you are where you are as a CEO of a publicly traded company?
Yeah, no, yeah. This isn't a solitary pursuit, right? Business is a team sport. It just is. And so if you're not on a good team, if you haven't built a good team, if you're not striving to be a good team, it's hard to be successful. So yes, my becoming a CEO wasn't just because of stuff I did. It was because I worked with people who helped me, quite frankly, be successful. But again, a lot of that comes from the environment that you set up, right? You can create an environment where these sorts of people, you know, you become a magnet for these sorts of people, or you can become, you know, you can do things where you can repel these sorts of people. I've been, you know, blessed enough to work in environments where I've been able to work with folks who are similarly situated, like-minded, and do it in such a way that we continue to work together and get better together.
That's beautiful.
Man, Jared, like I'm just so impressed with you, and what goes back to my training with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Covey talks about that there's 3 maturity levels. You have people that are dependent or codependent. We're going to get deep, America, real quick. There are people that are dependent or codependent that blame people. It's because of you and it's your fault, and they project on other people instead of taking ownership. Then the next level up, which I got to confess always that I was when I was selling cars, is independent. You know, it was all about me, and I worked hard and I was successful, but I did not understand there's a whole nother level of mental maturity called interdependence, where it's not about me or I, it's about us and we. That's where synergy is personified. Synergy, again, is defined as 2 or more agents that come together are greater than the individual effect. And I truly believe that organizations that are built on interdependence are the most powerful, that have the longest longevity of success. What's your thoughts on what I just said, Jared?
I totally agree. I totally agree, because again, at the end of the day, it's the strength of the team. It's the collective intellect and the collective effort focused on a single set of goals. That's how you achieve the most. It's not about the individual being successful. It's about the collective being successful. And we've tried to build that here at AutoWeb, and that's very much the mindset of our leadership team. Because again, we know that at the end of the day, we're only as strong as all of us together. It's again, to your point, you said it better than I did. This isn't a solitary pursuit, it's just not.
Right.
It's a team sport.
That's
in the military, they find us saying you're only as strong as your weakest link, you know, which is what I just heard. And I agree with that. So America, listen to me real clearly right here. You just heard it from a CEO of a publicly traded company. If you want to be successful, you need to surround yourself with other people and try to practice interdependence. Because if you are with a team, I don't care if you're a sole proprietor, you need to get people. If you are a manager, utilize your people, respect your people, and invest in your people. Train them. Do team building, help them with professional development, help them with personal development, because that synergy will be more powerful. You'll be able to accomplish more. You'll be able to do more, be more, and achieve more with them, way more than you'll ever be able to do for yourself. LA, do you agree?
100%, man. That's the biggest thing. And I think that that's the biggest challenge that leaders face a lot of time is how in the world do I get people to understand that, yes, you got to be, in and of yourself useful, but how do we become useful together? How do we work together? How do we get that synergy rolling? And so that's why I'm excited to be a part of even just this conversation right now. It's a synergistic conversation. We're all building on everyone's words, each sentence, each thought, right? And that's what I think this whole thing is about. If you look at your life as this conversation or as any conversation where everybody has to have their spot in the spotlight, their moment in the shine, you know what I'm saying? And then everyone has to have those supporting thoughts, those supporting ideas, then that's how we end up working together as a team. I heard you say life. I heard you say business is a team game, and I always say life is a team game. So
agreed.
100%. It's beautiful stuff.
So Jared, I want to redirect again as we're winding on the interview here, man.
We got like a minute or so left, gentlemen.
Good. So perfect timing. I want to ask a really important question about the money. Since you're publicly traded, this is information out there. I could do math on my fingers and my toes. I'm coming up with in the last 26 years, AutoWeb has generated billions of dollars in revenue. Is that an accurate statement?
Oh, I've never put a pencil to it. So I don't know if that I'd have to look back at it. I'd have to look back at the math. I don't know.
Well, right now, what's the valuation on the company?
Well, the market cap is, I don't know. I haven't even looked at it today. I mean, I can tell you last year we did a little over $100 million of revenue.
So follow me. In 26 years, it's got to be over $1 billion at least. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I'm saying that is for that dramatic effect. You're listening to the CEO of a publicly traded company, which Sean Bradley is estimating has generated over $1 billion in revenue. So again, if you really, really want to be able to do more, be more, and achieve more, I highly suggest you listen to Mr. Jared Rowe and what we said today, because this is definitely impactful stuff for people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jared, for being on the show. I got a couple more thoughts I'm going to share after these messages.
Hey world, this is Sean V. Bradley, and if you need to buy a new or pre-owned car and want to have the best, most convenient experience ever, get full transparency, the absolute lowest price, no stress, best customer service, well, I highly recommend Car.com.
Sound like some girls. Hey, it sound like some girls. Hey, KB. Come on!
No, Doug, it's the real one.
Okay, well, sing that song, girl!
Don't need no drama, I'm gonna enjoy myself tonight. I'm getting ready to have one hell of a time. You're overrated, I won't waste any more time on you. The club is waiting and it's calling my name. I won't waste my time on you.
enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.